Hey guys, thought I'd do a beginner game. We're going to play as a guest, and we're going to do a 15-10. Let's see what we get. Okay, so in these games I don't play my normal repertoire, I just play something random. So here we've got the white pieces, so I'm going to play a d4 opening. I'm not going to play stupid openings, this is the point. Okay, so Horvitz defense. That means we can just grab the center. We could go London style. I'm going to play c4. So this is not a stupid opening. I don't think it's a stupid opening. We're contesting the center. Specifically, we're contesting d5. You know, just as much as the Sicilian is a very valid opening. Okay. Now, what we have here is we have two pawns pushed from dark squares onto light squares. That does this bishop a favor, but it's arguably slightly wasteful in that the opponent has moved two pawns, both of which can release this bishop, but has moved neither of the two pawns that must be moved to release this bishop. Okay, but the queen and the bishop can get out into the board. Maybe he's got plans of fianchettoing this bishop. Okay, so if the bishop comes here, it's going to be targeting this pawn, which is currently defended by my queen. But I can develop a knight. There's nothing wrong with that. Extra defend this pawn. Currently this pawn is not defended. Okay, but this is now defended twice. This is fine. So I can go ahead. Let's develop the other knight. Why not? So the idea of these games is not to humiliate beginners. It's to show what mistakes do beginners make. Okay, and here it looks like we're going for maybe a double fianchetto, which is all good. I have no problem with this. So while we're here, let's grab the full center. We are now controlling all of these squares in the middle of the board in our opponent's territory. Our opponent, notice, has not ventured beyond their first three ranks. So they are playing a very quiet approach. Okay, I can develop my bishop now. I've got two squares it can come to. Problem is that there's this light squared little mini pyramid here. So I'm thinking maybe it's got less scope there. So how about like bishop e2? An alternative could be to fianchetto my own bishop and challenge black's fianchetto. Let's do that. And castle short, probably. Then the general idea will be to line up the king and the queen. Oh, hello, the queen and the bishop on this diagonal, and try and get rid of this guy if he castles short. But now, wait, stop. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Right? f5. As I live and breathe. f5, man. So, first thing I want to look at is this. Now, it opens up a line towards my knight. You should always say, well, what if I allow my opponent to take? I don't think we want to do that. I'm going to push this. It really blunts this bishop, makes this bishop look very bad. And I can still fianchetto and I can still castle. Then my bishop on g2 is going to defend the knight on f3. That frees the queen up to go about her business. Like this. Right? Nothing can block on this square because of my advanced pawn now. Okay. But he's kind of put pay to that. That's not a bad idea. I'll develop the bishop. Or should we... Let's fianchetto this one first. Now he is really getting busy with his pawns. So there's part of me that is thinking, let's postpone castling. But I do not know. I'm also looking at d5, right? He's got two eyes on d5, okay? But I've got 1, 2, 3 defenders. So d5 takes. We really are busting a hole, aren't we? And then, what's to become of the dark squared bishop? If I put him here, take, that's okay. It's not a bad place for him to be. I don't think b3, bishop a3. I mean, it is controlling some very valuable squares around opponent's king, but let's just develop him. This knight's fine. The great thing about these games as well is that I end up playing weird positions. And it makes me think. I could lift the queen to give myself the option of castling either way. If opponent plays this, that's just not good. I think he just drops the pawn there. And I'm still kind of solid. I think I might still short castle. He's playing quite quickly as well, though. It's just under 15 minutes, so this is a 15 plus 10. If he pushes here, I can actually dive round with the knight, maybe. Need to be careful that the knight shouldn't get trapped. I'd love to stick my knight on something like here, but this is a great square as well. Is he a pawn addict? This is the question. Now, right now I can't really move my knight because this bishop's undefended, so what I'd like to do is castle as soon as possible. Or play rook g1. Well, that is a surprise. Because what he's done is just spaffed his Fianchetto bishop in return for a knight. Now, there are cases when you do that, for sure. Like, if your opponent was castled, if your opponent's castled kings on g1 and the only way to recapture is with the g-pawn, sure, that's a good spend of a Fianchetto bishop. But here, he's got problems, and one of the problems is he's pushed the bloody b-pawn, right? Which opens up the entire diagonal towards that rook. So if I take with the bishop, he's going to have to push a pawn or a knight or something to stop the rook. I could also take with the queen. So the question is, which is the most powerful and flexible move? If queen takes, he's going to block, right? He's going to defend somehow to protect the rook. He's got to, because the rook can't move. This is the problem. It's penned in. It's in a dovetail by its own stuff, its own army. However, if I take with the queen, I could come around to here, and that's with check. Queen it is. Queen it is, because we've got two threats that way. I mean, arguably the bishop could have done the same job, right? But now, notice, the king's knight can't block a check there because the king's knight is on a light square, which means it can only see dark squares, right? Nothing can block. This bishop can't block. Therefore, there are only two moves. The king must move. Takey, 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 takey. I'm going to castle. I want to line up my rooks with the royal family here. Yeah, and then I want to bust a hole through there. By the way, actually, I've just missed the tactic. I could have captured on g5 with check. And neither of these two pieces can block. And actually, if knight blocks, I just take with check. Right, the point is this pawn can't take because I win the rook. Oh, I don't. The pawn can take. Oh, no. That was silly of me. That was extremely silly of me. I failed to notice the Fianchetto dark square. Bishop defends the rook. I thought it was hanging. I made an assumption. And we all know what that does. So now if takes, I have to recapture. But it's, you know. Oh, dear. Right, I mean, I could take with a pawn. Check. If knight takes. But my opponent's done me a big favour here. He should have taken the bishop with a discovered attack on the queen. But I think just out of relief, I'm just going to capture, however. He's got to take now. That's the thing. Now I'll take with the pawn. King can take pawn. And we're going to be up a piece, actually. After all that. So that, I think, is a sequence that we need to analyse. Because Hunty did something silly, didn't he? Okay. Now we're looking at this. Do we just... I think we just do this. It's a fork, right? So I'm going to force stuff off the board. I don't care if it costs me a pawn. I'm up a whole piece and a pawn. What I want to do is I want to clear this space here. I want all of this junk gone. All of it. If all of these pawns were shoved onto the floor, then it's much easier for me to win. I also have a very aggressive pawn here. Ooh, okay. Right, this now comes with check. It is actually defended by the bishop, but the knight can take. Okay, I don't think I want to capture. I think I want to centralize the rook. Maybe come around here with the idea of capturing that pawn. The knight is also just pinned itself, by the way. If the knight moves, that rook falls to my bishop. And that's a good use of a Fianchetto bishop. Okay, so he's got out of that. So if I come here, yeah, I'm kind of half attacking that, but not really. What I'm really doing is attacking this. If he pushes, I just take, yeah. I've got a whole bishop spare right now. My queen can come around as well and harass the knight, or come to this square. Okay, I can do that now, can't I? So before you make an attack, you go, well, can my opponent easily just sidestep it? Well, yes, in fact, this was something I wanted to do anyway, so now my opponent's just said, hey, why don't you go ahead and roll out that idea you had? So he really needs to push here, but takes. If pawn takes, I have queen takes with check. And that's not looking good. And this knight's dangerously close to the king as well. It's controlling some squares. Queen and bishop are lined up against this horse. And he's missed it. He's just missed it. All of these squares are out. So the only thing for it is the king has to go here or here. If he goes here, I have rook takes d6 check. Mate. No, he can still go there. Oops, he can still go here. But yeah, it's pretty nasty. Okay, let's capture here, I think, with the queen. Again, 2 moves. I think, yeah, he's going to go there, of course. All right. There, my knight can come in. That might be useful. If the queen blocks, I still actually have to check with the knight. Ooh, okay. Can my knight get there? Not in a hurry, no. h4. Rook's got to move. Now, for example, here, the rook can take here. Okay. Can defend that with the knight. I'm worried about getting my queen stuck. Let's just defend this pawn so that there's no rush. Even f3. But f3, yeah, the rook's just out of squares then. Oh no, he can cancel capture here. So bishop f3. He's got no squares. Bishop takes there, pawn takes there, bishop takes there, pawn takes there, and that's it. So it's starting to make that rook attack look doubly silly, isn't it? Okay, that just drops a rook. I have 2 attackers on the rook, there's only 1 defender. Game over. That's called counting. Count attackers and defenders. A, B, C. Always be counting. And before you drop a piece there, okay, yes, I'm attacking the queen. Yes, here. But how many defenders have I got? 1. How many attackers? 2. If there's more attackers than defenders, depending on what they are, of course, but you generally don't go for it. Okay. king can't go there. I'm going to give a check here, I think. Then it's no, no, no. Yeah. And he has to come now towards my king, my queen. If he comes on to 7th, I have a rook lift with check. This and this could be good. I don't want him to wriggle there. But he's going to be dead very shortly anyway. But this prevents that. No, no. Let's try that. So he's got 1, 2, 3 squares. This one's bad because rook here, which I think is checkmate. No, it's not. It's oh. And there was a third possibility that we had encountered a pawn and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, Obi, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on. He said, shut up, kid. So, you see, blocking a check at any time pins the piece. That's the issue. And now I'm attacking the pin piece. And this queen is maybe a little far away to defend. I mean, actually, if the king moved here, that is a discovered defense of the rook by the queen. And that's what he's done. Good find. Well done. But I am so far ahead in material, I can just trade down here. But if I check, what happens? Right, the king has to remain as the second defender of the rook, yeah? So the king can't take the pawn or else the rook just falls. So this is called removing the defender. Okay, we remove the defender of the rook. Now I win the rook outright. Sure, he can trade queens, but that's just outright losing. Bishop here looks like checkmate actually to me. Even then king here, rook h1 is nice. But I think that's simply mate. Yep, indeed. There we go. So, let's go back to the beginning and do the important work, right? That was just for fun. The important work is why did black lose? Okay, sorry, I'm not going to do a rematch. Whenever you win or you lose a game, go through the game and answer that simple question. Why did one player win and one player lose, or why was it a draw? Okay? Nothing fundamentally wrong so far. Yes, white has got a bigger centre. But as the eval shows, it's balanced. This pawn move, yeah, does favour white. You've got to have a jolly good reason to move the f-pawn, right? Reason is that the f-pawn at the start of the game is defended only by your king. It is a vulnerability. It also blocks the key diagonal towards the king, as we shall see later. Another pawn move. White is just creeping up in betterness, and that seems to be a blunder. We've gone from 2 to 5. Reason is now he's completely opened up this diagonal, right? Both of his f-pawn and his g-pawn are now both in front of that diagonal. And this knight can't defend it, and this bishop can't defend it, and this rook can't defend it. Okay, so... Oh! That wasn't great from me. We trade off. And now, bang, in comes the queen. Now the king is on the run. And from this point, it's all very difficult. It's +4 already for white. Right, why did this happen? Pawn pushes. Silly pawn pushes. Okay? Even at this point in the game, I'm kind of ready to castle. I've got central pawns that are advanced. You know? Now I castle. I've got my king to safety. Right? There's a reason why we have these principles. Yeah? I've gone for a kingside fianchetto. Yeah? But opponent is pushing weird, unnecessary pawns. Look at the king side. He's pushed all 3 kingside pawns, okay? I've pushed 1 in order to put a bishop there, and that's it. And then I'm done. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that stuff unless I have to, or unless maybe I do a pawn break later on. You know? He's pushing pawns because they appear to be cheap moves, and he can't find a better one. But the thing about pawn moves is they ain't cheap moves. They are extremely committal moves, because pawns can't move backwards. Every other piece can. Pawn is the only one that can't retrace its steps. So now, I mean, this was my blunder, yeah? But actually the machine doesn't mind it at all, which is weird. Weird, okay. So takes, and yeah. We know what happened from this point, right? He's got a rook that's not in the game, another rook that's not in the game, a knight that's not yet moved, and a queen that's not yet moved, and a king being kicked from pillar to post. That is the problem. Okay, let's look at it again. Okay, pawn moves. Yes, you can fianchetto your bishops. That's not a bad thing. But what he's not doing is he's not contesting the centre with his pawns, which is principled, and which he should probably do as a beginner. Okay, double fianchetto. I get it. Okay, now in response to this crazy move, I decided to push. I calculated it was okay. But this really was the turning point. I mean, at this point, it's balanced. Here, plus 1.8 now, 1.9 in white's favour, right? That's the difference that one scrappy, loose pawn move can make. And then he does another. I mean, why? Why? I wants to stop my knight getting him. And now, like I say, because these pawns are too far forward, there's nothing to stop my queen from getting behind enemy lines and laying waste to his position. And that's it, basically. Right? That's the takeaway. If you're a beginner watching this, learn from this. Okay? Pawn moves are not cheap moves. Right? They are always a commitment. And you need to... Like a piece, you can undo a piece. I undo piece moves all the time. Sometimes the position changes and you go, actually, I don't want that bishop there. I want it over there now. Or I want to reroute my knight round to somewhere else. It's not a problem. Pawns, however, don't mess. Don't mess with pawns. They aren't cheap. There you go. So that's the lesson for today. Hope it's been useful. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.